2,000 artists from across the UK and Ireland applied for our 10th series of Landscape Artist of the Year. With just 48 spots up for grabs in the famous pods. Each week, 8 new artists were presented with a truly spectacular view. From the rugged mountains of Snowdonia...
This is possibly one of the most daunting landscapes in Britain.
...to world-famous historic palaces.
I'll be struggling with the windows and all those panes of glass. But there is some lovely colour in that garden.
And jaw-dropping feats of Victorian engineering.
Have I painted a bridge before? No, I haven't, but there's a first for everything.
Awaiting the winner was a £10,000 commission for London's Courtauld Gallery to paint a landscape of southern France, inspired by some of the greats of art history. Monet, Cézanne, and Van Gogh. As always, watching the artist's every brushstroke were our 3 art world aficionados. Kate Bryan.
I'm going to leave you to have a sort of existential landscape crisis in your pod. You won't be the first.
Kathleen Soriano.
The thing that's really winding me up is the sort of giant lollipop in the middle one. Yeah. What's going on?
And Taishan Schierenberg.
So, mountains, lake, Bob's your uncle.
The best painting ever, yeah.
At each heat, we welcomed a further 50 artists. Yes, it's the Landscape Artist Wildcards.
You're in a cult?
Well, you could say that, no.
You're having some sort of breakdown? Are you both left-handed?
No, just me.
Just you, okay, yeah.
In this special episode, we look back at the highlights of this series. It's the very best of Landscape Artist of the Year.
As a painter, would you touch this view with a barge pole?
Very good. I'll jump on a boat and get out of here.
To mark 10 years of Landscape Artist of the Year, we took the artists to some truly amazing locations. I got to launch the series from a boat on the Thames.
Ah, this really is the only way to travel. And it's how generations of kings, queens, princes and noblemen have arrived at the Palace of Hampton Court.
Then we moved on to Wales.
Today we're at the foot of the magnificent Yr Wyddfa, or Mount Snowdon. Yes, it's that big one over there.
Before heading to Bristol.
Today we're looking out over Isambard Kingdom Brunel's spectacular Clifton Suspension Bridge.
And finally, back to London and the waterways of St Pancras Basin.
Can they do it? Yes, they can now. It's a brand new episode of Landscape Artist of the Year.
Once the artists have settled into their pods...
Oh, no. Failed at the first point. I can't even put my apron on.
It's time for me to launch the challenge.
Artists, I hope you're ready to baroque and roll. Your 4 hours starts now.
It's all kind of very dramatic. The bridge took 30+ years to build, and we've got 4 hours to draw it.
The artists gain their place in the competition with a submitted landscape, which they bring along to display in their pods.
You like drama, don't you? And mood. I can tell from your submission, Mark. What we really liked was the way in which you used that sort of rusty orange to highlight and pick up across the painting. I mean, in a way, if we had a beautiful blue sky day, you'd be complaining.
I'll just give up on that and just make it a nighttime scene anyway.
Why have you got to make it a nighttime scene? Have we not given you enough?
I will often take a daylight scene and just make it into night, you know. I thought, well, actually, no, it's getting very moody now, you know, all these clouds hugging the tops of the mountains. So I thought, well, let's go for a night scene.
OK.
Hello, Claire.
Hi.
It's a very good-looking start. You've gone big.
Yeah, it's a big painting, but I use big brushes.
I'm thinking about your submission, of course. This is a very dramatic scene.
Yes.
Something's going to happen.
Yes.
It's kind of portentous.
I was interested in that suggestion of the sun is shining, but there's trouble ahead.
There's trouble ahead. OK. And so you're going to try and imbue this picture with that same
I think
kind of
so.
loaded narrative.
The way the clouds are coming through.
Yeah. Can you set it to be sunny? It's always my preference.
OK, I will.
You've chosen a very complex and wide view.
Yes, I may regret that. But I'm trying to just sort of get things broadly in the right places, but I'm obviously cutting out large chunks of what we can see.
I mean, I look at this view and I think it's impossible to get your head round, but actually you've done that by just picking the pieces you want to paint.
Yes. I think just trying to get a sense of this panorama that sits in front of us without it looking too straight-liney.
Yeah. Let's talk about your submission. It's quite the opposite of today.
Completely
it's full
the
of
opposite
heat,
of today.
It's full of colour.
Yes.
Are you able to work in a different mode?
I'll find the colour and I'll find some contrast in there. Yeah.
I love the fact that you've turned sideways and you're giving us this fantastic slice, so we're really getting to see the gasworks. From what you've done with the lack of information at this stage, particularly in this colour palette, it feels like it kind of be a Whistler's view.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to convey the industrial aspect of the site, so, yeah, dark and moody and
Dark and
broody.
moody, yeah. I mean, there was something very moody about your submission that we're really taken with. You know, there were obviously contemporary signs within it, but the feeling was something that transported us to a different era. I suppose we might anticipate a bit of the same thing then today, if you're interested in the historic elements.
Yeah, hopefully. So I'm hoping to add a bit of texture and a bit of drama.
So what about the sky? You've left a big space for it.
Yeah, no, it's all to play for with the sky. I don't know what it's going to do.
OK, still some decisions to make.
Yeah, still plenty of decisions.
Yeah.
With the competition in the pods well underway, it's time for possibly my favourite bit of the show, the arrival of our magnificent Landscape Artist of the Year wildcards.
I am all set for today. I've got my pastels, 2 flasks, lunch nibbles. I've got my easel with the leg that falls off. Hopefully it's not going to blow over, because if it blows over, the leg will fall off.
I brought my wife with me today. She got the umbrella ready. Trying to get as much done as I can under the umbrella before I can put the watercolour on.
Sarah, OK, don't tell me. You're getting married?
Nope.
You're shy?
I'm definitely not shy.
you're in a cult?
Well, you could say that. No,
You're having some sort of breakdown?
We've suffered terribly with midges.
Oh, it's midges. Now you've mentioned them, I've started to feel itchy. But... Do you paint outside a lot?
Nope.
Do you paint landscapes?
No.
Do you paint in groups?
No. Just by myself in my kitchen.
Oh, you have painted before then?
Yeah. I do portraits usually.
Well, why don't I just stand there and you can paint me?
Yeah, we can add you right here under this tree with the sheet.
What am I doing with the sheet? Don't answer that question.
Ah, the wildcards, always a joy. Back at the pods, it's all more serious, of course, particularly as the artists reach the end of their first hour.
I'm enjoying today, but it is quite tense because I'm not used to doing an urban scene, and also just like loads of distractions. Normally it's just like me and my dog.
I've gone for a really ambitious composition, so everything could go wrong at this stage, everything.
My stated aim at the beginning was to give that end of the bridge a bit of weight. It's still got a way to go yet, and plenty of opportunity for me to do something horrendous to it.
One of my greatest pleasures hosting Landscape Artist of the Year is getting to discuss the artistic ins and outs of our stunning locations with the devastatingly handsome Taishan Schierenberg.
Nice view, isn't it?
I mean, it's just got everything you want. We've got a bit of water, we've got a mountain, we've got a steam train every now and again, we've got a village, a church, woods, fields, sheep.
Castle.
Slate mine. What more do you want? Easy to paint?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a bit of greens,
yeah.
bish, bosh, bash.
I don't think you can go wrong. I'm sorry. I mean, you'd have to be...
You'd have to be me.
to get it wrong.
To muck this up.
Yeah.
Spectacular, isn't it?
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of it has to do with sort of angles, where it's sort of looking up at a bridge and there's a kind of abyss. It's just beautiful.
And this sort of wall of green that's facing us. It's a really steep drop, isn't it, down to the Avon?
I mean, it's fantastic. There is a problem, of course. It's very wide. Who built it?
The person with the best name of any name ever that ever existed. Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
I mean, with a middle name like Kingdom, you're set to do great things.
Oh, yeah. Got a light. How do you capture the scale of it?
I mean, as a scar, it goes in and the sun is moving.
Yeah.
So that is constantly changing.
It's an absence almost as well, isn't it? It's a gap, it's a hole.
Yeah, it is very difficult to do.
Yeah. Oh, the train. This is the haunting sound of the train.
It's rather beautiful.
That's a lot of windows. I mean, that's a lot of windows.
I don't think we've been in a landscape which has so much repetition in it. So, yes, a lot of windows, a lot of rectangular windows, a lot of round windows.
Yeah. It's like
a lot of conical topiary, a lot of repetition in the garden. So it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And my heart bleeds for our artists, as usual.
So, nice place to live, good place to visit, nightmare to paint, surely. Do you know what one of the artists said to me?
What?
He looked forlornly across at this view and he said, Ty must have had a reason to put us here.
Don't say...
He did.
No.
I'm not saying which one.
Oh, my God.
So what's your reason?
Well, there's a lot to pick from.
It's just too much, isn't it?
Yes. You've got to make decisions early on before you get embroiled in it. If they pull it off, it's going to be amazing.
It will be. I mean, I think we may have a few fraught artists, though, before we get to that point. We may need to set up a helpline.
From the pub?
Yes, from the pub.
Naturally, our artists embrace these views with gusto, with no shortage of imaginative approaches to capturing the landscape.
Hi, Molly.
Oh, hello.
This is so radical.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever sat this direction
I know.
before.
I started facing that way, and now I'm engraving backwards, looking at the mirror. If I just engraved the view looking out, the print would be backwards from what it is in real life. Yeah, it's slightly disorientating.
No, it's good. I like it. It keeps the public on their toes,
It
wondering
does,
what on
doesn't it?
earth you're doing. I think what we loved about your submission was that it really felt like you understood the distance in the hills, the way that the light fell on the water, but in like 2.5 inches squared. Would it be easier if you were working bigger?
I think it is a challenge working small because you want it to have impact. So yeah, I've got to make it punchy.
Morning, Batch.
Morning.
What did you find out on your walk this morning?
The story today is that we're at a very ornate place with a lot of history.
Presumably when you're looking for stories, you're looking for something a bit sort of grittier like you had in your submission. It felt like you'd grabbed bits of the scene and collaged it together in a more creative way to add tension. Are you going to be doing that today?
I'm planning on doing something similar to that, but I do want to interpret the people and include them as part of the landscape. Who knows? Could be a mess. I'll try my best. I didn't mean for that to rhyme.
Ben, hello.
Hi, Ty.
On this sweltering day in Hampton Court. I was just looking how you set up your painting today. You're avoiding any built-up area, really.
Well, I have decided to tackle the palace, partially, because I don't want to just ignore it. I think it's important that I show that I can do something that isn't organic.
OK. Ben, we loved your submission. It is very weird. And I must say, the way you put paint down is very idiosyncratic, but it's intriguing.
Yeah.
You're almost putting down paint to confuse us a bit, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. I like to abstract the landscape enough. I mean, I like to just go for it.
Sarah, this is already a very luscious-looking painting.
Luscious.
Luscious, this is gorgeous. And I just love the way that the alcohol is doing these fascinating things that, with, you know, kind of an ice skating rink. It just sits on the surface. So you've obviously had to learn what the paint will do, how it will pull, the saturation, the opacity.
It's taken a little while. I knew the first time I ever used it that the possibilities were endless, but it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It didn't even come close to doing what I wanted it to do.
And is it the same process for your submission? It's marvellous. It feels like a kind of enchanted magic forest or something.
Yeah, it was a little bit more give and take on that one,
Yeah.
and it took a while to make it sort of work.
Well, it's lovely. It's a fascinating process, so abstract, and then you pull back and you completely understand it.
And when it comes to weird and wonderful techniques, it's often the wildcards who end up stealing the show.
What are you painting with?
I'm painting with oils.
Yeah.
But I've also got some soil here.
You've got just some soil from around here?
Soil from around here, yeah, with some linseed oil in it.
And how does it behave itself when you mix it?
I don't know. I've never done it before.
You've never done it before?
Never done it before.
You like to live by the seat of your pants.
Absolutely.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see what you're working with. Is this like packaging from your house you bought?
No, it's a couple of books from the skips at Hampton Court Palace.
So everyone else comes to Hampton Court Palace for a very kind of genteel, touristy day out, and you kind of went straight away bin diving?
I got someone else to bin dive.
Very good. Yeah. Very Marcel Duchamp.
This is good.
I'm OK at pencil work.
Yeah.
But I've never been able to paint. So I decided I needed a partner who could paint.
I see.
I can paint.
You
He
can
can't.
paint. Right, OK.
I splash the colour on, colour everywhere.
Oh, very good, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, he's quite loose with his
Flowers,
brushstrokes.
yeah.
And do you two argue much about the painting?
I'm trying to concentrate.
Sorry,
Stephen.
excuse me.
You can go now.
OK.
And no matter how much trouble we go to give our wildcards a spectacular view to paint, there's always one.
So, Chris, there are 50 wildcards, and 49 of them are looking that way.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the bridge?
It's just getting a bit crowded that way, really.
Right.
So I thought,
Yeah.
well, I'll have a go doing something completely different.
Yeah?
He doesn't like to follow the crowd.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like to be different.
You like to walk your own path.
Indeed.
So are you having a nice day, Stephen?
If anyone asks for me, tell them you haven't seen me.
OK. Would you like to paint?
I can't paint. Don't tell anybody. Do you know I host a painting show?
I've seen you.
Yeah.
While I relax with the wildcards, over in the pods, the pressure's on.
I've been trying to sort out this garden, which is immaculate, but mine looks a bit swirly. I just hope I can bring it together so it doesn't just look like lots of marks on a page.
I've moved on to my board now, and what I'm doing at the moment is looking at the shapes within the quarry. You know, these mad triangular shapes. I'm just going quite cautiously. I do not want to dive into this and overcook it.
I've decided I'm going to start another one. I'm like, oh, for heaven's sake, I'm going down in flames on TV.
Here on Landscape Artist of the Year, we're used to embracing the vagaries of the British summer, and this series was no exception.
It's hard working conditions.
But I always try to keep everyone's spirits up.
I think as long as it doesn't rain, I think we're going to be all right.
I'm just... Yes, it's just starting, isn't it?
Let's hope that the south of France brings us sunlight, warmth, heat, colour.
Don't stop. Don't stop.
Cue montage of Landscape Artist of the Year, Rainy Edition.
Are we allowed to finish early today?
This plein air lark isn't for the faint-hearted. When the rain finally stops and the sun comes out, there are even more problems to deal with.
I just realised you are using acrylics, which must have dried in about 3 seconds.
I think I've probably used about £200 worth of paint just from drying it out.
Oh, right.
I'm struggling. You know, it's just dries so quick. I've taken 2 prints, but as soon as I put the watercolour on here, it dries out. So that's what's interesting about working outdoors, obviously, why not many people do it.
Fortunately, our artists always look on the bright side.
Chris, you seem to have really got into it. I mean, you make it look very beautiful, really.
That was the challenge, I think, trying to make something that I guess you could say is quite ugly.
Yeah.
To make it pretty.
Could you paint me?
That is a challenge.
That's a step too far. I mean, you're good, but you're not that good.
With the stresses and strains of being in a pod, it's nice to see many of our artists bringing along friends and family for a bit of moral support.
Wave, guys.
Hello. Hi.
Oh,
good boy. Just gonna get it done. Thank you. Love you. Love you. Bye, Kate.
Until he's got his own pod.
I know. I mean, look at that.
Is his relationship to art, you know, does he work at it like you?
No, I wish I had less of my struggle and more of his...
His laissez-faire attitude.
Exactly.
But not all the support is quite so welcome.
Stop with this.
Yeah. You're running out of time. No, I know. I'm
Like,
just leave me alone.
Towards the end of each heat, it's time for the judges to select their favourite wildcard artwork from the day.
Congratulations, you're a wildcard winner today.
It's you. You're our wildcard winner.
Just one of the wildcard winners is chosen to take part in the semi-final, and this year it was Rose Dufton.
Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I think we all agreed that you're a rather marvellous painter.
Really?
And I didn't get to talk to you either. I just said you're being a bit indecisive.
I am feeling shocked, very happy, and like it's not real. Am I allowed to say I'm going to have a big glass of wine?
Oh, yeah.
Good. okay, it might be a bottle of wine.
Back in the pods, as the end of the competition approaches, the judges and I always like to check in with the artists with a few final words of encouragement.
Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Are you finished?
That's the last paintbrush with the last bit of white on it. Yeah.
And that's it? Are you good at knowing when to stop?
No.
Oh, so how come today you suddenly worked it out?
I finally worked it out with all of these lovely people around me.
Oh, you've been listening to the judges? That's a slippery slope, Tim, when you start doing that.
What's happening here?
I'm finally going to stick them down onto a piece of board. I just did a quick switcheroo with them.
And this works?
I think so. If I can find a way of getting a touch of pink in that, then that will be job done.
You're suggesting once this is down, you're going to go back?
Yeah, I'll tweak it. How long have I got?
11 minutes.
11
well, that's
minutes.
all right. I can do it in 11 minutes. Oh.
Beth,
Yes.
we're running out of time.
We are.
I see
Everything's
quite a
happening.
lot of unfilled space.
It will get there. I'm just going to throw some clouds and some sky and some water.
Right.
You know, half the painting. I just need to just do that.
Artists, you have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes.
Oh. It's exciting.
Fiddling around at the end.
I'll probably make a mess of it, should leave it alone.
It's hotting up now. I've got to finalise it so it's a finished piece rather than a study. You know, I've seen what everyone else is producing and I'm starting to feel like I've got to properly kick this over the line.
What I'm doing now is putting as much as detail as I can without overworking. 2 or 3 marks might be too much.
So I'm feeling a bit panicked just because there's a lot to resolve in a very short space of time. I'm struggling with making the water look like water at the moment. So, yeah, panicking.
Artists, your time is up. Please stop what you're doing and step away from your artworks.
What a day. I feel like it's taken years off my life.
I got my work.
Watching our artists' every move throughout the day are our magnificent judges, who after 10 years find themselves in total agreement about absolutely everything.
So Chris has given us a portrait form, 1 tower.
What I would say is that he needs to look a little bit harder because there's something about the shape of the tower that he's not quite got. It feels a bit lightweight to me.
I think it's interesting because I sort of think the opposite. I quite like the fact that Chris doesn't really worry himself too much about the perspective and the geometry.
Kathy, where's the other painting? I wanted the other painting.
Interesting.
Did you tell her to do that?
Hash was kind of a pleasure to watch. I think it's almost, for me, a painting in 2 halves. I really like the top half with this kind of deconstructed foliage and the houses nestled in there. And then the bottom half, it just sort of lacks the same tension.
That's going to work really well then, because I would like the bottom half.
OK, well, great.
I find that top half, it's almost like it's a postcard, whereas the bottom, for me, feels more painterly.
I've got problems with Tim's work.
Oh, really?
I know you like it a lot.
I do. I love the abstraction of it, I suppose. That lovely sweep of the water. You can sort of skim a stone across, and I think it's lovely and fresh.
Sarah's given us a kind of otherworldly version of today. The pyramid's great. It's such a clever, inventive thing.
She was actually painting from life at some point.
Maybe it's a painting of what this place will look like in 200 years.
Yeah, but the question, will you walk on a floating bridge in 200 years?
With a lilac sky, yeah.
They always get there in the end. Only one artist from each heat can go through to the semi-final, and I get the pleasure of announcing the winner.
The artist going through to the semi-final is... Ben McGregor.
Ben made such a great decision early on. He was fascinated by this garden, and he really showed it to us in this exaggerated way through these shapes and forms. And really, it was a masterclass in being able to say, this is what interests me, and I'll make it interesting to you too.
Claire Rose.
We love courageous artists, and today we gave our artists this enormous mountain to paint, and Claire went, I can do that.
Kieran Guckian.
Kieran's got a really strong grasp of what makes a really good landscape painting. He's got a really delicate touch, he's really good at composition, and he looks really, really hard.
Susan Isaac.
What a brilliant discovery Susan is. This place is full of history, and Susan was able to capture that without getting caught in detail.
Sarah Stoker.
Sarah's just such an interesting character. She creates these really magical, fantastical spaces that are weighty with sort of meaning and feeling.
Molly Lemon.
I think the thing that's so distinctive about Molly is that she really is able to capture the energy, the character, the distance, the perspective of a place this big.
This year's semi-final was held at Portsmouth Historic Dockyard, where our artists were lined up in front of Victorian warship HMS Warrior. Taking part were the winners of each heat and the overall winner of the wildcard competition.
Attention artists, you have 4 hours to complete your landscapes, and your time starts now. Artists, you have 5 minutes left. Please hurry up.
Oh, my God. I hope I've done enough.
Well, it's a beautiful sunny day. We're by the water and we're thinking, right, we're sending the artist to the south of France who might be encountering such weather as this, and you've got to think about what kind of artist would be able to do justice to that. Not just follow the Impressionist footsteps, but actually do something really original with landscape painting.
According to the rules of Landscape Artist of the Year, only 3 of you can go forward to this year's final. The first artist the judges have selected to compete in the final is Ben McGregor. The second artist is Kieran Guckian. The third artist joining us at the final is Susan Isaac.
Thank you. I'm absolutely astonished to be a finalist. I was really not expecting to hear my name called out then.
Absolutely spectacular picture again, Susan. Well done, fabulous.
It's been a massive confidence boost. I hadn't dared to think I would get this far, so it's absolutely delightful.
For our 10th anniversary final, we had something very special in store for our 3 remaining artists. Yes, it's possibly the most iconic location in the UK, Stonehenge.
Wow, look at that.
That's
incredible.
That's cool, isn't it?
Amazing.
Look at it.
It potentially looks easy, but I don't think it is.
No,
Yeah.
to make something of it.
Yeah.
Artists, your time starts now.
The final judging saw the artists' depictions of Stonehenge alongside a commission piece they'd painted in their own time.
The first thing I noticed when we put them all together is how they're all keen to show us that they can work on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Susan applies a lot of paint. Do you think that would become predictable after a while?
They're 2 very different paintings. Yes, the way the paint goes on the palette, to a certain extent, a lot of use of black, are very similar, but that sort of distant light is very different to the stones today, which are sort of obdurate, they are old, they are ancient. So it's a very different feel she gets from this very narrow language.
I think Susan has found her style. And actually, I don't think she should be marked down because it's so particular. You know, we can recognise a Van Gogh. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Ben seems to be interested in surfaces, grass, water.
Yeah.
He seems to really enjoy getting involved with that.
You know, it's very easy with an artist like Ben that he descends into an obsession with the patterns, but the pattern is very, very secondary here. It doesn't overwhelm, and that's a really hard balance. But the wonderful thing about the painting today is that it's truly ancient. You know, you can feel the texture of those stones, even though it looks very, very modern.
Today's painting has more of a graphic quality, but I actually admire him for doing that because he's showing us that he's got a different reference point. There's nothing graphic in the commission.
So, Kieran, does the thought of sending someone who uses such limited palette to the south of France, is that come into your minds?
It does in a way, but I don't think it's that we're looking for an artist to be so literal as to be an impressionist of the south of France. And this colour palette that he uses creates these sort of quite intense scenes.
Kieran uses the language that is traditional. He paints green leaves and they're drawn in the right way, but then he does something with it, and it is the narrative he finds it. It is the weird framing. It's, you know, it's a painting of Stonehenge, but nobody recognises it as Stonehenge. So he's doing different things, and it makes the whole endeavour feel very contemporary.
Tough, tough, tough. I mean, how exciting to have 3 such brilliant artists, but also, what a nightmare if you're one of the judges, which apparently we are.
Susan, Ben, Kieran, thank you for all your hard work this summer. It's been an absolute joy watching you all progress through the competition. You are all wonderfully talented artists, But the judges have made their final decision. The winner of Landscape Artist of the Year is... Ben McGregor.
I don't know what did just happen. I just can't believe it. I'm in absolute shock.
So pleased for you.
Thanks, Sam.
What a great day, but what a terribly difficult decision.
So difficult. I think the calibre of artists in this competition now and this sort of 10-year anniversary, I mean, yeah, it was really, really challenging. And I think they've each got a distinct language. I would say that I think Ben has a slightly broader range with his language. I mean, he's a dream artist to send to the south of France.
And what's nice, it's about light, but it's about texture. I don't seen artists deal with landscape in a textural way before. I think that's really new. So I think I'm very excited about seeing what he's going to do.
And I sort of feel like a lot of it is to do with the show, because, you know, he came to landscape paintings through the show. And I'm really excited at the idea of seeing one of his works hanging in the Courtauld Gallery. Because I think it's really going to stop you in your tracks, you know, because it's going to be in amongst those Impressionist paintings on the top floor. I'm going to feel really proud.
Yeah, me too.
I'm pretty obsessed with Impressionism. You know, I've spent hours just staring at Van Goghs and Cézannes, and so for me, having a piece hanging in the Courtauld Gallery is about as prestigious as you could possibly get. I've always really, really tried to be, you know, the best possible painter I can be. There's been a lot of hard work and a lot of sort of self-doubt, so to have all that kind of validated is priceless.
One month later, Ben travelled to the south of France, following in the footsteps of Monet, Cézanne and Van Gogh to research his winning commission for the Courtauld Gallery. The final painting was unveiled in front of an audience of invited guests, museum curators, and our very own judges.
You all right? You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm apprehensive, but excited. Yeah.
Well, should we put you out of your misery?
Go for it.
Right, here we go. I mean, there's a Van Gogh self-portrait with a bandaged ear.
I know.
It's just over there.
It's how I feel.
Right.
It's how I felt, really.
OK. I mean, they're taking 2 Renoirs down.
Get on with it.
Get on with it? All right, here we go.
Ben has stayed true to his authentic way of painting, but somehow by osmosis, he's managed to absorb just enough, just the right amount of influence from these artists to create a work that I think will sit on these walls confidently and will sort of encourage a lot of conversation about what landscape is today. So I think he's done us proud.
If you'd like to find out more about taking part in the competition or the work of the selected artists, go to our website, skyartsartistoftheyear.tv.